What's happening, people? What's going on? What is going on? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It is a Tuesday edition of Let's Rip It Up. I'm not usually here on Tuesdays, but when Tim Walz dropped the bomb today, I was like, I got something to say. I've got something to say. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But what's going on, people? How we doing today? I hope everybody had one of those awesome days. An awesome day. I hope everything that you wished and hoped and prayed for, you've been granted that. Period, point blank. But, yeah, man. So, in a way, because nobody else came out. Nobody else said anything. You didn't see anyone else being a candidate or anything on the left. We kind of knew. Some of us kind of knew this was going to go down. Because like I said, nobody else was out there. Who else? There was nobody. What? What's to do? Steve Simon? Come on. Really? But we knew Walz more than likely was going to come back, because what else is he going to do? Who else would the left be running? What, they're going to have Ilhan come and try to run for? She's about the most next popular bonehead on the left that can actually run. So they're gonna run her? There is nobody else. So Walz is it. Walz is it, and he's coming back. And I'm gonna read some of the, because I put that out there. I put that out there today saying Walz is coming back. And I got some very interesting comments. I love it when people, especially when I can use them to explain them on here. So he's coming back, man. And right now, I'm going to say this here. There's not too much that can be done about him coming back. Because what we know, what I can tell you is the fact, darn it, what I can tell you is the fact that only thing he has to do is go and convince Duluth, Rochester, Hennepin County, St. Cloud, and what's that other little square he won way out there in the boondocks. And it's over. It's over. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, people can sit there and get upset if they want to, but think about it for a second. What has the right done here in Minnesota to give people a feeling that they should vote for them? No, think about it for a second. What have they done? Name something that they've done. Anything. Okay. And don't give me this. Hold on, because I'm going to show you. And the reason I'm saying all of this is I'm going to show you something in a few minutes. Okay. The reason I'm saying this is I'm going to show you something in a few minutes. And I know everybody out there always with this here storyline, because you have been trained. No, you have. You have been trained on the right to sit here and say, well, there's nothing they could do. The Democrats rule the state. The Democrats do this, and the Democrats do that. You have been trained to say that. Anytime someone asks you, what has the right done, you have been trained in your mind automatically to sit there and blame the Democrats. You have. And I know it because that's what I do. I ask that question, and that's the first thing that comes out your mouth. That's the first thing you think of. You don't think of anything else because nothing else has been placed in your mind. That's why. That's why. And these, people can say what they want about me. At least I'm a free thinker. At least I'm somebody who has the door open. Like I said, I don't take it from the right and I don't take it from the left. I see the right doing wrong and I see the left doing wrong. And I call balls and strikes. But we got people that I believe only what the right says and I believe only what the left says. And that's it. And you go no farther than that. You don't want to level up. And you wonder why we're in the situation that we're in. Because people do not. They don't want to. People love to stay in misery. Misery feels good to a lot of people. It really does. I've been there. I was there. I don't say things just to say it. I'm telling you where I was at. I played with the Democrats. I was a Tea Partier. I lived in misery with both sides. I've got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm done because we were going nowhere. We're going nowhere. That's why I got out. That's why I got out of both of them. Because I'm tired of being down here. I wanted to level up. I wanted to be up here. So when I'll say it. I'm up here looking down on y'all. I am. I'm up here going, yep, I did that before. I did that before. I did that before. I did that before. And as long as I did that, and that, I stayed down in misery. I'm up here looking down on you. Yes, I am. You can say what you want. Rev, just looking down on people. I am. No, I'll say it for you. You don't have to say it. I'll say it for you. I'll say it for you. Period, point blank. I have no problem. I have zero problem in saying that. Rev think he's better than everybody else. As long as you stay down in misery, as long as you follow these parties, as long as you speak the right wing talking point and the left wing talking point, I am. No, I am. Period, point blank. Get mad at me if you want to. That's fine. Prove me wrong. I always tell people that. Hey, I want to kick off tonight this way because I got to answer a question. Because I've seen this crap. Being floated around a lot. And like I said before, what happened to Charlie Kirk and all this stuff that's going on, black people ain't got nothing to do with it. Nothing. Don't blame us. Don't try to add to us. Don't add anything about us to it. But Riley Gaines, this is going out to Miss One Riley Gaines. I'm going to answer your question for you. I'm going to answer. There she is right there. She said, Riley Gaines points out, we are not the same. She says, no businesses are being looted, no riots in the streets, and no city being burned down. Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines point this out. Well, let me answer Riley Gaines' little question for her. And then she can go on about her business with her, fifth place trophy or whatever she got. Again, let me say it again. We have nothing to do with this. So when you say no business are being looted, okay. Then when you say no riots in the streets, okay, Miss Riley Gaines. Let's go all the way back And let's talk about why their riots were in the streets. Let's talk about the injustices that Bull Connor wanted to make sure stayed in place. Let's talk about when the Freedom Riders came down to his area and he let the Ku Klux Klan beat on people for 15 minutes before he sent the cops. Let's talk about the dogs that he sicked on people. Let's talk about the water hoses, Riley Gaines, that he put on people. Why did he do that, Riley? He did it because of the injustice of a people. See, when you try to be smart and funny, but you don't use the whole thing. If you're going to tell something, tell the whole truth, Miss Riley Gaines. So why, every time there was riots and every time there was, as you say, looting, why was it? Why? Because a black man or a black woman had been unjustly murdered by someone that didn't look like them, correct? So the people were going out in the streets doing what? Protesting for justice, correct? Sure, it got out of hand. Got out of hand just like they got out of hand the J6ers when they marched up to the Capitol. And they beat those police with flagpoles. But they got, paroled for knocking police up on side the head, for squeezing police with a door, beating police with a fire extinguisher. Or should they just protest in the streets? Well, that's probably what they should do. They should get a bunch of flags, put masks over their face, and walk through the streets saying, "White men fight back." So you're right, Riley. There shouldn't be any looting. You're right, Riley. There shouldn't be any building burning because Charlie Kirk was murdered by a white man. That's why you're not seeing that, Riley. Because nobody has anything to actually go out and protest. Where is the injustice in that? So Riley Gaines, take yourself somewhere and do better and leave us alone. Because we will riot. We will burn it down just like it was burnt down with us. Did they burn down Tulsa, Oklahoma, Riley Gaines? Did they burn down Wilmington, North Carolina, Riley Gaines? The very people you're saying don't riot. There's a lake in Georgia right now that used to be homes to thousands of black people, Riley. Forsyth County, Riley, Georgia. How about that? I can keep going, Riley Gaines. I can keep naming Redwood, Florida. They burnt that down. Black owned. So before you run off at the mouth, know your history, little girl. Know your history. Know your history. Because the people who are going out and rioting and tearing stuff up, like you say, which I don't condone, but Dr. Singh said himself, a good riot is people of the unheard people. And when black people are getting kneeled on, when Philando Castile was shot, when Sandra Bland was murdered, when Trayvon Martin was chased down, unlike what Charlie Kirk said, that Trayvon Martin chased him down. That's untrue, and y'all know it, and you didn't correct him on that. George Zimmerman was told, we don't need you to go after him. Y'all heard it yourself, and he went after him anyway. And he murdered that boy. And y'all made George Zimmerman the whitest Mexican in the United States because he ran around signing Skittle packets. The gun he shot this boy with sold for thousands of dollars. Say it didn't. So I tell you what, when the gun that shot Charlie Kirk, when that goes on the auction block and it sells like that, you got a reason, Riley Gaines, to go and protest because that's wrong. When they start selling microphones and whatever, and people sign, that dude signing it, Riley Gaines, you got a reason to go and protest. And if you burn something down, burn it down all the way. Don't let it just burn halfway. Do it right. So Riley Gaines, that's why you don't see any looting, because there's no reason for it. You're not fighting for injustice. You're not fighting for somebody who got shot and killed by somebody who don't look like them. That's not what this is about, Riley. And don't try to pull us in this thing, because we ain't got nothing to do. They had to shut down HBCUs, black colleges, because of the threats. We ain't got nothing to do with this. So I've been telling black people, stay out of it. Stay as far away from it as you. This is on them. Now, if they want to go to war with other white people, go for it. Like I told black people on Facebook, you need to go get your permit today, and then go get you something to walk around with. Because if it goes off, I ain't stupid enough to sit here and act like we're just going to be missed. Because here's what I want white people to start doing. Start calling out the white people. Don't just say Democrats, because black people, hold on, black people are Democrats. So when you sit here and you say, well, these Democrats, they this and they that, and we have war on Democrats. We didn't do so. Black people ain't do it. Go talk to your white liberals. So do me a favor. From now on, when you say Democrats, name the Democrats. Don't just say Democrats, because there's a lot of y'all know that, a lot of black people is Democrats. We ain't got nothing to do with this. We ain't start nothing. We ain't going to be nothing. Don't be nothing. Leave us alone. So, Miss Riley Gaines, if you need to talk to somebody, right here, I'll give you my number. But don't try to put us in this. Don't do it, Riley Gaines. Period, point blank. I'm done with that. I'm just saying, people, we ain't got nothing. We ain't done nothing. We ain't said nothing. We done left this thing alone. We done gone about our business. We trying to clean up. Hell, we've had what? 2 mass shootings, literally. That ain't nobody talking about. I get a call last night. Phone's going off, and I'm like, oh, God, what the heck's going on now? Come to find out, at the time, it was only 3 people that had been shot. But I think they got a total of 7, something like that. I'm not sure. I didn't even go down there today. I didn't go anywhere near the site. I'm like, just tell me what's going on. I'm not getting in this one. And I shut my mouth. But we got people running around here right now shooting, driving around in a black car, whatever it is, shooting homeless people. That's what I got to worry about. But we are in a situation where we have Tim Walz is going to be making a comeback. And I got a tweet from somebody here that I wanted to make sure that I talk about. This is a good tweet. That's why I told him, I said, I'm using that. This is a good tweet. Especially when he says moral decay on the one in charge. This is a good tweet. But he says, look at the character and the moral decay on the one in charge of Minnesota. It's almost certain that they are stuffing the ballots. In everything that's been going on, especially with all the money that has been stolen from this state. And the Democrats can't sit there and act like they did not know anything. They just cannot do it. They can't sit there and go, oh, wow, really? Wait a second, money was stolen? No way. We didn't know. They knew it. And I'm going to tell you how I know they knew this. Because they sat there and they said that they couldn't do anything about this kickback money that these organizations was giving to the. They act like they couldn't do anything. Their hands was tied in this thing. They knew. They every single one of them knew what was going on. They knew what was going on. They knew who was doing it. They knew how it was being done. They knew when it was being done. They knew. Listen, people. If I ain't said nothing to you that you heard anything that I said, you sit there and say, wherever I listen to you all the time, I can't hear you. Okay, I need you to clean your ears out right now and hear me out in what I'm saying. And because you don't see this stuff, right? A lot of times, a lot of people don't see things from the ground level. I'm lucky enough to be that person that I get to see all of this stuff I get to see it start and then build up. The Democrats are willing to do whatever it takes to stay in power. You understand what I'm saying when I say that? It doesn't. They're willing to cheat, steal, and destroy. Listen to what I just said. Cheat, steal, and destroy. The Democrats are willing to do that in order to stay in power. In order to have power, they will take some people and use them for their good, for power. And if y'all haven't seen that, if y'all don't understand that, call me. I will make it as clear as day for you. And as long as you got people like that is willing to sell out this state of Minnesota, that's going to be hell to beat. Because they'll do whatever. It doesn't matter at all. And this isn't something that just started, right? Some dude hit me up today and he said, well, we put Tim Pawlenty in office. Tim Pawlenty was the downfall of the Republican Party. Tim Pawlenty was one of the, and he got in somehow. I don't know what happened with that. Wasn't yeah. Somehow, some way, Tim Pawlenty got in office, and it has been hell for the Republican Party ever since. Ever since. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just bash the Democrats, right? But let's look at the Republican. Everybody's got this talking point, and if you go to my page, you'll see it. It's Blair clear that, again, the talking points, especially when they talk voter ID. So that's the newest thing. Oh, we got to have voter ID. If we have voter ID, there will be no more cheating. That's just not true. That's not true. And you say, why is that? Watch this. If you already say, I'm going to go with you. If you already say that the Democrats cheat, correct? You already say that the Democrats cheat. One of the things that the Democrats want to do is they want to give out IDs. That's what they want to do. Have you put two and two together yet? Why do you think that the Democrats want to just give out IDs? Think about that for a second. The Democrats giving out ID to everybody. Everybody gets an ID. Be like Oprah. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody get an ID. Okay. Hello? Now the right wing have something else to bitch about. Well, they gave everybody an ID. But you're the one that talking about getting voter ID. You're the one that wanted everybody to have an ID. But the minute it happens, I guarantee, I can promise you, the next election rolls around and the Republicans lose. They're going to say it's because everybody has an ID. Want to bet? It's always something with that group. Always. Oh, it's ballot harvesting. It's stuffing the mailbox. Dude says we should only have 1 day to vote. See, one of the things that the black church do, and my church does it too, it's called Soul to the Polls. On a Sunday, all black churches, we get everybody together and we all go to the poll. It's been that way forever, and that's not going to change. So the 1 day voting thing, cancel it. Stop it. Unless it's going to be on a Sunday. That'll be awesome. Everybody that if they want to do a day, do it on a day that pretty much everybody's off. Matter of fact, they should make voting a federal holiday. That's what I'm just saying. I think everybody should have the day off when we vote. Everybody should just have the day off. Let's do it that way. Don't have, if you want to do it 1 day, let's do it where everybody has a day off and we go out and we vote. Sounds like a deal to me. But what I'm getting at when it comes to Republicans, right? In the areas, right? In the areas that matters, because the areas that I put down, that's what, look, Trump did not win Minnesota. Harris Biden won Minnesota. So let's make sure we're all on the same page here. All right? You're gonna get mad at me. Make sure you get mad at me and you're getting straight up what I'm talking about. Harris Biden won Minnesota. With all the stuff that they pulled out, all the stuff they talked about with Biden, Walls. Sorry about that. Polls close in 30 minutes for, 34B. 34B. Yeah, we're going to see. I want to see the numbers on that, Chaz. I definitely want to see the numbers on that. I want to see if the Republicans won, I want to know by how much. That's going to tell us a lot, right? But if the Republicans lost, that's also going to tell us a lot, right? But watch what I do here, and I want y'all to understand something, right? Because a lot of people who vote, who go to vote, when I talk to them, and I'm just talking about people that I talk to, and they're not just, and I'm talking to white liberals, I talk to white progressives, I've talked to a couple white socialists, I've talked to a couple white people who say that they're independent, which in Hennepin County means they're Republican, but they just don't want to tell nobody they're Republicans, so they say they're independent. That's so if you're in Hennepin County and somebody tell you they're independent, they're Republican. Period, point blank. And they just don't want to tell you that, because Republicans it's like a vampire and garlic. It's like a vampire and garlic. So watch this here. If the Republicans really wanted to put these areas in play, again, they would put time into those areas. This is not about ballot harvesting. This is not about ID. It's not about cheating and all of this here type of stuff. Because when you run candidates, again, I'll say that, when you run candidates, that's when they're out in rocks and cows, when they're outside of these areas that I talk about, and they're talking this tinfoil hat crap, Republicans need to learn how to speak maybe 2 languages. Give their base the red meat they need to have. Because the Republican base, they need the red meat crap. Need it. They need it. And I know that because I've been in many spaces, many places, many buildings where you can be talking sense and they're sitting on their hands. But the minute somebody start talking foul and ill, they're clapping and throwing their hands up and everybody ripping and roaring. I watched it with my own eyes. I'm not telling you something that somebody told me. I'm telling you, I was at in Hopkins. True story. True story. I even got the tag. I'll show you that I was there at the Republican convention. They're in there. Place is packed. All right. I'm there. I'm sitting in the Republican. I was probably 5 black people there. Probably just 5 black people. And then 2 of them I don't even consider to be black. But anyway. So they're sitting there, they're talking and all this here type of stuff. Then Tom Emmer, that show, comes up on stage. And he's talking and everybody's just sitting there. But the minute he mentioned North Minneapolis, that's when he got the biggest applause, the biggest roar, because of the things he said about North Minneapolis. Tom Emmer did that. They were sitting there waiting for him to say something bad before they reacted to anything. This is what I'm talking about. You can't do that in Wynn, Minnesota. Because the areas that you need, those are the very areas that you talk about and you put down. So when we get mad because Tim Walz could win, why is it? Why don't but we don't look at the Republicans and go, wow, you could have ran a better candidate. Your candidate could have used that language better in areas to get votes. That language that you using out here, the hate speech, you could have calmed that down. And your base need to understand that that's not always good. That's not always a good thing. For some reason, the Republicans think that as long as they get votes outside of these areas, it's okay. It's not okay because you don't win. You get your ass kicked. And your base, sorry, they're not doing it for you anymore. They're just not doing it. And you let them dictate, number one, who you're going to run. Now, let me show you something. If Mike Lindell, y'all know who I'm talking about, if he gets in this race and the Republicans nominate this man, you better believe Walz will walk in that office with no problem. This is what I'm talking about. This man ran around the country, almost lost millions. He did lose millions of dollars. Did he not? Being sued with this tinfoil hat crap. That's not who needs to be nominated. It isn't. But I guarantee you, because of the base, if he puts his name in a hat, I guarantee you they pick Mike Lindell. You know why? Because that type of crap is what fires them up. Somebody actually, tonight, this dude actually put on my getup that we need somebody like a Carrie Lake. Are you out your mind? This is what I'm talking about, the base. Carrie Lake is anyway. But that's who you would, Carrie Lake is who you would actually nominate to run against Walz in the state of Minnesota. Knowing what type of, this is what I'm talking about. Republicans losing statewide all the time. It's not always about ballot harvesting. It's not always about cheating. It's not always about ID. So when you all get it in your head, it's also about people just don't want to vote for crazy candidates that you guys put up. Period, point blank. You scare when you put people like a Carrie Lake with that mentality up. We got this dude, Phil Parrish, right? You got this dude, Phil Parrish is running. Now, I don't know Phil Parrish, but what I do know is he's a Republican. And I would put money on it that picture that he put out, he got on his page, that I asked him, where did he get that picture? Because they have black people in it. That's why I asked him, where did he get that picture? Black people are in that picture. I will sit here and call him a liar right now on that picture. See, you have to go into the city and deal with black people to get black people on a picture. I don't think Phil Parrish have been in the city to deal with black people, to get them in a picture. So if you're going to be phony, I'm just saying, don't put an AI generated picture with black people in it. Like you got the spirit to be able to go in and talk to black people. That's just not true. That's not true. Now, I am going to reach out to Phil Parrish and see if I can have a sit down with him and talk with him. I will. But You ain't fooling me. You're fooling your people. You're fooling them, but you ain't fooling me. I know ain't no Republican going into the areas in Duluth where black people are, areas in Rochester where black people are, areas in St. Paul where black people are, areas in Minneapolis where black people are. I know Republicans are not going there. So you get a picture like that. I mean, no, be upfront, be truthful. See, because here is what the Republicans have to deal with now. Not only is it the Mexicans now that you got to go in and try to get, but you got to go get the Nigerians. You got to get the East Africans. You got to get the Africans. And if you ain't been to Brooklyn Park and around the area of Brooklyn Center, oh yeah, there's a lot more people than you think that you need to deal with. And y'all ain't dealt with any of them. That's why I sit back and I say, if they don't put up a good candidate, the Republicans, Walz will walk into this office without a problem. And what I mean by a good candidate, a candidate that's willing to go into, deal with the Nigerians, deal with the African Americans descended of slaves, deal with the Africans, the West Africans, the East Africans, deal with the Mexicans that are down in North Minneapolis and the ones that are in South Minneapolis and the ones that's over in St. Paul. You got to go over to St. Paul and deal with, like I said, all the Nigerians and everybody that's also over there. You got to, then, hold on, then you've got to be able to go and sit down and talk with some of the Somalians. That's all over the state now. And if you're not willing to do that as a Republican, there's no reason to run anybody, because you're not going to win statewide. They have locked it down, period, point blank. You can say what you want, but like, again, if you want to sit there and go, Rev, you're wrong, I have no problem with you saying that. I will give you the opportunity to be right here next to me, and you can say whatever you want. But what I'm telling you right now, point blank, if these Republicans are not willing to put their feet on the ground and stand 10 toes down for everybody, they can call it quits right now. There's no reason for them to even run anybody. Just give him his third term and step off and go on to the sunset, and let's try to get through 4 more years of this knucklehead and this madness and this craziness. But if you ain't got a good candidate, and right now, I honestly, at the end of the day, because he put his name back in the hat, I do not see a good candidate coming out of, and the only person that everybody is getting excited about, my understanding, is if Mike Lindell get in the race. And if Mike Lindell get in the race, I would put $100 on this table today and say, Walz is a shoo-in. On our $100, if Mike Lindell gets in the race, Walz is a shoo-in into that seat once again. I can promise you that. Not only can I promise you that, I will almost, well, no, I can't. I was gonna bet my wife, but I got to keep her. It's been almost 40 years. After 40 years, I may, but we got to get to 40. Been almost 40 years with that one. Uh-oh. Is she listening? I got a feeling she's listening, because I just heard a thump. Again, that's all I'm saying. If the Republicans really want to make some noise, they're going to do something. Now you say, hold on, and I told you I'm going to show you. You say, well, Rev, what can they do? And I know that's out there because I get that all the time. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something they can do. Okay? Criminal justice. The criminal justice system that we have here in Minnesota sucks. There's a guy right now that's in prison. His name is Philip Vance. Wrongly incarcerated. Let me show you how wrongly incarcerated this man is. The task force that put him in prison was so bad. Police. This is police now. The task force, the police department put together a task force. That task force was so corrupt, they had to disband. They were so bad. They was like, y'all gotta disband right now, not next week, not the week after next. And if they would have went farther, some of those police would have went to jail. If they would have went farther, some of those police officers that were on that task force would have went to jail. That's how corrupt they were. So let me, I want to make sure y'all understand what I'm saying here. That task force arrested Philip Vance. Show you how deep this goes. Watch this. One of the cop who arrested Philip Vance, his sister testified on the stand that she heard Philip Vance say he murdered this guy. Hold on, let me do that again, because somebody missed what I just said. The cop who arrested Philip Vance, his sister testified on the stand that she heard Philip Vance said that he murdered this person. The sister. Wait a minute, I'm not done. The first judge on this case was a relative of the police and the sister. Look it up for yourself. Look up, if you think of, look up Philip Vance and learn about his case. That's how corrupt the system is. Hold on. I don't know if you all know about what they call jailhouse snitches. People that they pay, or people that they say, if you can come testify against this person, we will lessen your sentence. That's how they got their evidence on this man. They paid people, and they took time off of other people for them to testify against this man. This is what the system did. Philip Vance is in the prison right now in Hugo. He'd been there for almost 20 plus years on a made up charge. You say, well, Rev, what can the Republicans do? Thank you very much for asking. The Republicans can look into that case. The Republicans can come into the community and find out about a lot of these cases. And a lot of these cases, you know who did this to these black men? Go ahead, take a guess. I'll give you a second. I need to get some water anyway. Democrats. Amy Klobuchar used the backs of black men to get to where she's at today. And 2 of Amy's men has walked out of prison free. If Republicans really wanted to do something, they would look into that. They would look into the criminal justice system and be like, these Democrats have screwed over black people. How can I help? Show you another thing. Say, well, Rev, what can Republicans do? Again, criminal justice system. Here in Minnesota, somebody goes to jail. They are forced to work. They have to. These men go out and they work for 50 cents a day. Correct? It's not a lot of money. You can't really send anything home to a single mom. Help her out a little bit. The Republicans can look into the justice system and find out how we can get these guys a little more pay. And they deserve it because it's slave wages what they're working for right now. Not only that, they can set it up to where while they're in there working, they could put that money away. They have to put some of that money away to pay for their recidivism when they get out. Because when they get out, they still have to pay the state back, right? That's why a lot of men go back to prison. Because they can't find a job. They can't pay the state back. They can't, their parole and all this here type of stuff. But if I'm sitting in a prison for 10 years and I'm working and when I get out, I can start help paying the state back so I don't get, Republicans can do that in the community. Show you another thing. Rob Dorr was up there at the Capitol testifying on guns and things of that sort. One of the things that Rob Dorr talked about was what? Mental illness. Correct? Mental illness. The same mental illness that's running through everybody else's community, it runs through the black community too. All this shooting, you see these kids just shooting everybody. Says 13, 14, 15-year-old boy shooting another kid. Would that be considered mental illness at some point? Or is it just mental illness white men who go in and shoot up schools? Is that the only time that we're gonna throw the words mental illness out? Trauma out is when a white man gets a gun and goes shoots up white kids? Why couldn't the Republicans come into the black community and look into that? These kids are traumatized that they got to sleep on their floor. These kids are traumatized when they start hearing gunshots and they got to fall down and lay on their floor. These kids are traumatized when they're out playing gunshots and they got to lay down in the yard and then wait till it stops to get up and run in the house. These kids are traumatized when they're at school and they're shooting outside of North High School and all these kids got to shelter down. These kids are traumatized. They're traumatized when they're walking from home from North Minneapolis and they got to walk down Broadway or walk down Bryant. And yet gang members shooting at each other and they got to shelter in place or hide under or by a car so they don't get shot. This mental illness that's going on. But you don't hear the Republicans talking about that, do you? Democrats are not talking about it. Why can't the Republicans step up? So when y'all come to me talking about what can the Republicans do in the black community, there's a lot they could do. They just don't want to do it. You want votes? They could get votes out of the black community. They can. They just don't want to. The Republican Party of Minnesota do not want to deal with black people. Let's call it what it is. I have given, when I was working with Scott Jensen and I was helping Scott Jensen, I said, Scott, this is what you need to do. And the Democrats stole this. No joke. No joke. I said, Scott, this is what I need you to do. I need you to start talking about having free telephones for people in prison. I said, one of the things that's hurting the black community is when a father is locked up and he has no money on his books to be able to call home, to be able to call his kids, to be able to call his wife or anything, nothing. I said, but if we can get free phone calls, then he can stay in touch with his kids. He can stay. Dude, I put on a silver platter, I gave him something to walk into the black community to start talking about. You think he did it? You think any one of them did it? So that's why I can say that the Republican Party here in Minnesota don't want to deal with black people. Or they'll run over there and get them Somalis like they did before, and they thought they was doing something. They thought when Walter Hudson went over there and got those Somalis and put them in front of a mic at the Capitol like he was doing something, I knew that was one of the, to me, because I knew what was up. Y'all didn't know. Y'all didn't know that group that Walter Hudson went and got kicked out of the, that's the group that started all that trouble in the Democratic Party. They didn't leave the Democratic Party like that. They got kicked out. They got booted to the curb. And somehow, some way, Walter Hudson found them and brought him in and tried to act like, look at this, we're Republicans and we got some. He ain't ever been over there dealing with those people. Let's make sure y'all understand what I'm talking about. That was the biggest joke I've ever seen. And they tried to pull it. But y'all can believe that because you don't know better. See, this is what I'm telling you. They can do stuff like that because you don't know better. They can't pull that over my eye. I know. I'm there all the time. I know what's going down. So you can't try to fool me like that. You can't. That's why when he did it, I called him out right away. Right away, I called him out on it. Right away. Because I knew what was up. But if they want to win, they got to do something different. They've got to do something different. And the base have to let them do something different. I was told, this is what I was told. I was told, we don't spend money in Hennepin County and St. Paul because our base do not want us spending our money there. That's what I was told by a Republican. Period, point blank. And now you know why you win. You lose all the time. So you can't bitch if Walls win. You can't. Because you don't put your people in a position to win. You don't help your people be in a position to win. You don't. You don't. You don't. You sit back and you put out the same crapola 10-floor hat crap. Voter ID, the stolen election, the machines was rigged, CRT, all of that crap. Stop it. If you stop it, maybe, just maybe, one of these people who are running will get a heart and say, you know what? I want to be part of someone. I want to be part of something that helps all of Minnesotans. Everybody, not just one group of people. I don't want to be governor because I want one group of people to feel good. We got that in the White House. Yeah, we do. Come on. Y'all know the exact. Yeah, stop it. We don't need that here in Minnesota. We need somebody who's going to actually say that I will get out of my car and talk to somebody who don't look like me. And if we can't have that, and if that's not the type of person who's going to be running, I will go all through Hennepin County, St. Louis Park, St. Cloud, Duluth, Rochester, screaming at the top of my lungs. That's not the guy you want to vote for. Serious. Enough is enough. At some point in time, we got to stop it and start looking that everybody should have the opportunity to be a part of what's going on. But that's my 2 cents, people. That's my 2 cents. That's how I see it. That's how I see it going down. And if the Republicans don't get their act together, Tim Walz will be the governor for the next yumpty many years. If the Republicans don't get their act together, if they decide that they're going to nominate somebody that people think is a wackadoodle, it's over. Just give Tim the governor tie back, put him back in. Don't even move his stuff out of the mansion, and let him do what he's been doing. Which as you can see, with all, and that's what people say. With all the stuff, think about it. With all the stuff that's been happening, Donald Trump didn't win Minnesota. Harris and Tim Walz did. With all the areas in Minnesota that went red or was red with the crosses, or, kind of pinkish red that was at one time blue, I guess. Look at the map. Don't take my word for it. Look at the map. All these places. But then you look at where did they win to win Minnesota. Look at the places. Where did Tim Walz and Harris win in order to win Minnesota? I'm just saying. Look it up for yourself. Look at where they won to win. All that red throughout everybody's turn Minnesota red. All them people who say that is it's nuts. They're nuts. It's not going to happen until the Republican Party changes. And I don't see, and right now, to be honest with you, I don't see the Republican Party changing. Because you got, right now, you have a state rep literally on Twitter talking about war. A Republican, Damoth, who is the leader of that group, ain't said a word to him. Ain't said one. Just letting him. He's on here right now. Just lighting it up. Being just as ignorant as everybody else, and y'all. Charlie Kirk was murdered. And I thought when Melissa Hortman and her husband was murdered, that people would go, "Oh, we got to calm this stuff down." And then Charlie Kirk gets murdered, And I've got a state rep right here in Minnesota who is out here being foolish, irresponsible. And he's sitting in a seat at the Capitol. And y'all are egging him on. And then we're going to sit there and try to wait until the next time somebody get killed. And we got officials, representatives, somebody that y'all voted for and put in office. And he's doing this. But here's my last thing for you guys to understand why I believe Tim Walz is going to be a governor again. Because the black woman and the white woman is about to come together. You said, what do you mean by that, Rev? That shooting at that church with those kids, it was a good together. They knew nothing was going to come of that. They knew that. But if I show you that I'm fighting for your black kids who are being shot, and I'm fighting for your white kids that are being shot, think about it. No, think about it. I think about stuff like that. The Democrats are saying we are doing everything we can possible. We do to take care, make sure your kids are safe. And not only that, but this time they got a little smarter and put a couple black women. They even had the black woman who sponsored a bill. And she's basically saying, black women, we're going to help you this time too. True story. Think about it. Think about what I just said. Nothing is going to come out of that because they can't pass a bill out of that thing. They can't make new laws out of it. They can't do that. But what they did, this is why I always say, Democrats play chess, and then Republicans show up with their checkerboard. Because Democrats got all them white women. You know how white women tears are. They got all them white women up there. And every single one of them told their story. And I'm sorry, if you watch that and you didn't have a tear in your eye, something's wrong with you. When they start telling their story, if you didn't have a tear in your eye, something is wrong with you. Those stories were powerful. And the Democrats did that. So when the election rolls around, they can put that on the table. They got that in their back pocket. And they're going to sit there and go, hold on. Let me show you what the Republicans said on this committee. But again, if it was me, if I was a Republican, I would have countered that. I would have took out one group. And if the Republicans were smart, I would go talk to black women about the trauma and the things that needs to be done in the black community for their kids. Because we know we have to have guns in our community. We have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So we ain't talking about banning crap. But if you can talk to us about the trauma that our kids go through, if you could talk to us about the mental health of our kids, I'm just saying. If I was Republicans, that's what I would do. But I'm dealing with a group that would rather try to push war than try to help their fellow Minnesotans. When you got one of yours literally every single day pushing hate, Republicans, y'all got a problem. Period, point blank. Hey, fam, I am done. I am going to go up here and see if I can catch and find out, because I got to find out who won 34B. Like I said, if Republicans won, I want to know how much they won by. So that's going to be a telltale sign. But if they lost, and they lost big time, it's over. It's over. Wrap. Period, point blank. Y'all have a good night. More than likely, matter of fact, I am teaching Bible study on tomorrow. So I will not be here tomorrow. I will either do a Thursday night show or I will do a Friday show. More than likely, it will be a Friday. We'll see how it goes, but I will not be here tomorrow. I do have Bible study that I am going to be teaching, so I will not be doing that. Friday, I'm hoping, and I got my fingers crossed, that the girl that I was telling you about, that we did find her, she's pregnant, she's homeless, she's with a guy who's not good for her. I'm hoping and praying to be able to meet with them by Saturday so I can find out more about this situation, more about what's going on, and see what type of help we can get for this young lady. Okay? And I will be, I'm going to be reaching out. So get ready. No, get ready, because I will be asking. Get ready. Y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you later. Peace, fam. I am OUT. Out.